Hi and welcome to Stardo, the show for the American entrepreneur. I'm Chris Franks. Entrepreneurs are wired to solve problems. While many of us tackle smaller ones, like how to best share pictures with our friends, or how to find the best restaurant in a 3-block radius, there's a class of entrepreneurs that go after the big problems. When I say big, I mean the biggest problems facing humanity today. Social entrepreneurs might not always sell their company for $1 billion, but they wake up every morning trying to figure out how to help billions of people. That's why we're dedicating tonight's show to the really crazy ones, social entrepreneurs. So let's get started. All right, so you've got a huge idea that will change the world, but you need some help in getting it going. And by help, I mean money. One way to find startup money is by crowdfunding on the web. Earlier this week, we were hard at work here at the Stardo Loft when we got a call from Slava Rubin, the founder and CEO of Indiegogo. Slava, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about Indiegogo, what you guys do.
Indiegogo is the world's funding platform where anybody can raise money for absolutely any idea. We're distributing millions of dollars every month globally.
Nice. What kind of projects do you guys fund?
Absolutely, positively anything. So we're open and accessible to every type of campaign, from starting a new business to crowdfunding the first ever baby through in vitro fertilization.
Whoa, hold on, time out. You crowdfunded a birth?
That's right. They couldn't afford the in vitro fertilization that they needed, and they weren't able to have a baby, so they were able to crowdfund it on Indiegogo.
Very cool. So before we get into talking about social entrepreneurship and how people can fund their projects through Indiegogo, I want to ask you a little bit about the Jobs Act. We've been talking a lot about it recently, and tell us in your opinion what this means for the American entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, for 79 years, since 1933, investing was only limited to the rich. Now that's being democratized for anybody to be able to invest in anything, and it was signed earlier this month, and hopefully by the end of the year, it'll be live.
If I'm a socially responsible company and I want to fund through Indiegogo, how do I go about doing that?
Well, a perfect example would be Luminade. They wanted to create an inflatable solar light. They wanted to raise $10,000 to distribute that light, and they were able to raise over $50,000. The way you do it is you just create a campaign, post it on Indiegogo, pitch it out to your own network. We help you raise more money than you ever could on your own.
That's amazing. What are some other good success stories you guys have had?
I mean, they really vary. Everything from wireless electronics like Satari Star to dessert companies like Emmy's Organics to t-shirt companies to new backpack companies like Souls. So it really just varies.
I think I read a quote that was attributed to you talking about it's only a matter of time until there's a company that does crowdfunding that reaches a gigantic scale. At the same token, you guys have been hugely successful, but you're going to see a big wave of competitors coming in the marketplace. What's going to make Indiegogo different?
Yeah, so since we launched in January 2008, we already have probably nearly 400 competitors. There's probably a new competitor every day now, and some of those competitors are even funded on Indiegogo. So we're pretty excited about being open to absolutely everything. But, we're really proud of our GoGo Factor, which is our own algorithm to determine how to promote and discover different campaigns. It's kind of like the SEO of crowdfunding that we created, and also our customer happiness and our education. And we're open and accessible across the globe, so we're very unique.
So how do people get in touch?
With me, it's just Slava at Indiegogo.com or at GoGoSlava. Anybody can go to the website and start their campaign right away, which is just www.indiegogo.com.
Very nice. And last question is, you're talking to a young entrepreneur who wants to start a company and wants to do something real and good in the world. What advice do you give them?
Just get started. I mean, as we like to say, go fund yourself.
Go fund yourself. That's awesome. Hey, Slava, we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us on Stardo. Did you know that 1.3 billion people in the world live without electricity? The majority of these households use kerosene in a can for light. Not only is this outrageously dangerous, causing over 1 million deaths every year in fires, they also add 30 million cars worth of pollution into our atmosphere each year. A Denver-based company called Nokero is determined to do something about it. I recently paid them a visit to find out how. So I've read someplace that one of the major challenges in a lot of these developing countries to literacy is kids simply don't have lights to read by. Is that true?
Yeah, that's why kids will travel 1.5 to 2 hours a night to go to a place with light and study, and then they'll come back that night.
We aren't focused on the very top of the economic pyramid where we're all living in a Western context, but we're focused on the base of the pyramid because there's such an enormous amount of people that are forgotten about.
This is an example of a kerosene lantern. This is what people use all over the world for light. And they literally, this is just, as you can see, it's made out of homemade cans and tins, and basically people fill these up with kerosene, put a little wick in there, and then they're burning fuel.
It provides light at night, but it does so at a great burden on the environment and at a very serious and real impact on one's health and one's finances and one's safety.
So just burning that in a small enclosed environment,
Yeah.
is for a little kid is like smoking 40 cigarettes a day.
That's right.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
So how are you guys solving this problem?
So we have a variety of products, but the main one that's focused on lighting is this, which is our solar light bulb, and it's a fully integrated portable solar light. So you have a solar panel here, open it up, you have a little AA nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery here.
To break the cycle of poverty, we have to provide additional education opportunities for people. So they're in school during the day, they go home, they do some of their chores that they need to get done. If they're fortunate enough that their family could buy a little bit of kerosene, they can study, but given a light, it can really change the outcome of that entire future trajectory of that family's wealth and welfare. It's a big thing.
Give us an example of a place where a distributor is using your product to create entrepreneurs.
A really good example is actually a group called Solar Sisters. They're in Uganda, and they're a group of women entrepreneurs, and this is actually, Solar Sisters is actually a nonprofit organization that provides solar light products to these women called Solar Sisters, who go out door to door in Uganda, and also they're in one other country, I think Sri Lanka, and they sell these solar light products to people. So we're not just selling products, we're actually selling the ability for people to start, build, and run a business and help create jobs in their local economy.
For those of you that shower on a regular basis, which we know from experience not all startup people do, there are 2 ingredients that one must use. Anyone name them? Anyone?
Water.
Soap and water. Soap and water is the answer. Whew, wonder why it smells so bad in here. I was recently introduced to 2 promising young entrepreneurs, Aaron Madonna and Joanne Melvin. They're combining these 2 concepts in a really interesting way. They founded a company called Life Soap that will deliver a box of organic, American-made soaps directly to your doorstep. But here's where it gets interesting. Part of the proceeds from every one of their boxes of bliss goes to fund the development of a clean water project all over the world. You can get signed up at lifesoapcompany.com. Your friends and family will thank you. In this week's installment of The Drawing Board, educator and entrepreneur Tiffany Espinosa provides an overview for those of you who want to do well by doing some good in the world.
For-profit is great at looking at efficiency, how can we use our resources well, real bottom line impact. Nonprofit is terrific at looking at mission, how can we engage people, how can we make impact in a social and environmental way. Social entrepreneurship is at the intersection of these 2 issues. So some people worry that actually social entrepreneurship is harder or has more constraints because you are trying to have a triple bottom line where you're paying attention to finances, your social impact, and your environmental impact. In fact, often what people find is that it expands your opportunities. We're starting to see more for-profit organizations acting with mission, trying to engage their consumers. You see that a lot in the crowdfunding world. It actually becomes an engine for growth and development. They're making it a part of their cultural identity, their professional identity, and they're getting great return on investment for that because consumers care. So you've got organizations like Nokero that are designing things for the bottom billion, finding ways that we can create products, services, and goods that are actually affordable and make an impact in people's lives. The reason that people do social entrepreneurship, whether it's in a big company or small company, is they're looking for that opportunity to actually make an impact. They do not want to just sit in a chair and push papers every day and be an 8 to 5er. With entrepreneurship, it allows you the opportunity to build a cathedral, to really look largely at what is needed and to start building it brick by brick by brick. So being a social entrepreneur means that you actually have an instinct towards pivoting towards the newest and most exciting opportunities. And you have the confidence, the ability, and the tools to act on it. You're not waiting for someone to give you permission to create a framework for you. Some of the biggest social and environmental challenges that we've had have been going on for decades, if not hundreds of years. They aren't being solved by existing tools. They aren't being solved by existing organizations. There is no silver bullet, there's silver buckshot. And social entrepreneurship allows us to try a lot of different interventions and see what's right for local folks, for local industry, for local communities. It's not about the fact that people on $1 a day don't have money, it's rather that they have a whole lot of needs that aren't being met, and how can we do that efficiently? How can we actually improve their lives?
If you've got something to teach the rest of us, give us a shout on Twitter at @StardoTV. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Stardo, the show for the American entrepreneur. Starting a social enterprise is all about love and passion. There's little doubt that if you head down this route, you'll be working countless hours for little pay and no recognition. But you get to wake up every morning knowing that you're making a difference in the world. Of course, there are a group of people that have to work countless hours for little pay and no recognition, but don't necessarily love what they do. We call these people employees.
Office Freakout of the Week. Office Freakout of the Week.
For tonight's Startup America Report, we're going to do something a little bit different. In the past, we've looked at states that are already members of the Startup America Partnership. But tonight, we're going to look at a state that's just about to come online. Joining us today from Portland, Oregon, is Carolynn Duncan of Portland 10. Carolynn, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris.
So tell us how you got involved in the Startup America Partnership. I know Oregon's about to come online here in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. We were introduced to the Startup America team by Mark from Startup Weekend about a week or so before South by Southwest. So we ended up taking a trip out to Austin and spending some time with the Startup America team, and they're looking to find entrepreneurs locally who are really interested in building a vibrant startup community and getting them to think about the startup community like it is a startup and to think through, is it access to capital that needs to be improved? Is it getting incubators up and online? Is it getting mentorship available for local entrepreneurs?
So I know you guys have a ton of great stuff going on in Oregon even before Startup America Partnership comes online. Tell us what's going on in Oregon right now.
You know, Chris, there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur in the Northwest, and particularly in Oregon. Anything from the city of Portland putting some capital into the Portland Seed Fund to NetSpace, a co-working space for entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs being online for the last 3 years. Portland 10 with our goal to get companies past that $1 million in revenue mark and having had 50 companies a year go through those programs. There's just so much going on for entrepreneurs, and you're starting to see some results from that in terms of the companies that are getting some real traction, like Shop Igniter and Puppet Labs, Urban Airship, Chirpify, The Good, Night and Day Studios, Orchestra Team, all of these companies.
Carolynn, congratulations on all your hard work. Keep up all the awesome work you're doing for entrepreneurs in Oregon. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Chris.
We'll be right back with the founder and CEO of a company that may just revolutionize the way that we donate to causes and charities, Sharif Youssef of I Give First. Joining us today on Starto is the founder and CEO of a company called I Give First, Mr. Sharif Youssef. Sharif, welcome.
Thank you.
What is going on, my brother?
Just startup life.
Startup life.
Startup life.
It's an exciting life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had hair before my startup life. So you and I, we were in Founder Institute together. We are drilled to do elevator pitches. So you are suddenly, ding, and Mr. Brad Feld's sitting next to you, and you have an opportunity to pitch him about I Give First. Go.
Wow, on the spot. So I Give First makes giving as easy as liking or tweeting. And the way we do that is at the point of media impact, media has gotten used to exploiting human emotion to try to get us to do something, say something, read something. It just tries to get us to basically spend money. And the way they do that is they make us laugh, cry, get angry or sad by giving us images. The interesting thing is we've been completely and totally powerless in regards to actually showing that we care or doing something that matters. So if you see a new panda that was born in the zoo, you should be able to donate to that zoo and say, I really support this, and I think that's a great thing. If there's something happening in the Middle East or another uprise that you want to support, you should be able to donate on the spot while you're reading that article and your emotions are the highest.
And so that's what you guys power. The ability for me to see something, whether it be a video, article, whatever,
correct,
and I can immediately give to related cause. But it, of course, begs the question, how do you find the right cause to donate to?
We have an artificial intelligence algorithm. So it's called latent semantic indexing or latent semantic analytics. And what it does, it basically,
I'm familiar with that.
the way it works is it basically scrapes down a content or a space online. So we know the topic, the tone, the urgency, the recency, and any nonprofits that were mentioned within the article.
So if I happen to be reading an article, let's say about a passion point of mine, which is clean water, how would your technology fit into that article?
So our technology basically scrapes down that article, and again, we know the topic, tone, urgency, recency, any nonprofits are mentioned with that article. So once you click on that give button, and that give button sits right in line with other social media buttons. So think anytime you see a share button, anytime you see a tweet, right next to that's a give button. You click on the give button, a sub window appears, it's about the size of a share window, completely secure, and the very first column of that are going to be nonprofits that are directly related to the article. So if, and that in your particular example is it would show like Water for the People or Water for Change or water.org.
That's amazing. And so really you're capturing people when their intent is the highest.
Absolutely.
Is that the magic?
Well, so emotion leads to action and reason leads to conclusion. While your emotions are highest and while you care the most, you should be able to click and give. There's an interesting bell curve that drops off very, very quickly. So the minute you're impacted, it goes straight up from a response standpoint, and then it comes straight down. There's a long tail.
I've heard it called the Law of Diminishing Intent. So at that moment, you intend to do something, but the longer the time goes out, the less likely it is that you're going to take action.
Absolutely. It's about 7 days within charity.
Is that right? Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background, how you came up with this idea, how you were compelled. You had a good job, right? Yeah. Corporate America, doing okay.
Absolutely.
What was that moment that made you decide to go out and start this company?
You know, I spent 15 years in high tech. I've created solutions for companies like eBay, PayPal, Amazon, on behalf of companies like First Data Corporation, Axiom, Experian, IBM. In the process of doing that, I kind of crawled my way up from being a mailroom boy all the way to the top.
Were you actually ever a mailroom boy?
I was. It was called a Media Coordinator 3 or something like that. Wow. I delivered mail for First Data. That was my entryway into the corporate world. But in the process, you know, my mother and father and sister came from Egypt to America due to the religious persecution. And my father basically couldn't find jobs out there. He would always be trumped because he was a Christian within a Muslim world. So he wanted to move out to the United States to have a better life. So there's really two-part. As I went all the way through corporate, I didn't feel I was really fulfilling my purpose. I wanted to do something that impacted humanity overall, but I also want to make sure I made my father proud. You know, both of my parents, as they came here, they lived the American dream of initially going door to door asking for bread and water, to building themselves up to be millionaires and then losing everything all over again. So
I don't know. It kind of is the American dream.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, and then you got to make another fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just knew that I wanted to make a difference worldwide and impact humanity. And I also know technology. So I looked to figure out a way how to merge those two. And I'll tell you, it's a huge difference. I wake up in the morning, and rather than feeling like I'm making or saving top executives money for large organizations, I know I'm trying to feed the poor, the sick, and the needy, right?
I mean, that's an unbelievable story, because your family truly was affected by charity.
It's the reason we survived.
Your family wouldn't have survived without that ability for people to give.
Correct.
And people to donate.
Correct.
And now what you're trying to do is take that notion of charity, which I mean, we're an incredibly generous society, yes?
Yep, absolutely.
And so you're trying to be able to take that and spread it to the masses.
Correct.
It's an amazing deal.
Just a quick story. In Egypt, they teach proper English. And so I love hearing my mom tell the story.
They teach it in Texas, too. It's just a little different.
Is that English?
Yeah. I don't know.
So when my mom first came, in Egypt, everybody's required to learn English. The problem is it's proper English and sometimes improperly taught English. So they taught her to say aqua in a British accent with her Egyptian accent, and they first flew out to Cleveland as the first patron.
Oh, great. Yeah, they don't speak English in Cleveland. Just kidding, Cleveland.
So as my mom first got here, they were staying in a church because they didn't have a place to stay. They went door to door with my sister and basically asking for aqua. And my mom said, yeah, we're looking for aqua. And the lady said, water? She said, no, aqua. Water? And finally my mom's like, aqua. She goes, water. What? So my mom had to learn water versus aqua.
Water. She probably has the screwiest accent of any human being on the planet.
Yeah, and I can't imitate that one. I can get Cleveland. But in the process, hearing my mom tell the story and hearing about the generosity of people that basically opened up the door, took my parents in, taught them not only the English language but the culture, and allowed them to create a family of friends. My mother is one of 8 children in Egypt, and my dad is one of 5. And if you think about it, what causes somebody to leave their enormous families to come to the United States and abandon everything they know? And the answer was they wanted a better life for their children. And again, that's the entire point of really wanting to make them proud. On the same note, I want to give better life to other people too.
It's an amazing story. So you are just getting going, right? Just kind of getting started. Tell us about where you are now, what you hope to achieve. What can we expect to see from I Give First?
The one question we could never answer that investors and people alike would ask us was, how many people would randomly click on a give button that they don't know and they've never seen? So we put it on 2 websites, one of them being ICOSA Magazine. Nice. ICOSA Magazine got a 3% click-through rate, which is 12 times what benchmark was. So we're in the process of uploading 145,000 nonprofits into the system. We have built out our own ad server. Everything is a completely scalable model. From a technology perspective, we didn't cut any corners. So as we grow, we already have the scalability built in.
One of the things that's magic about I Give First is the incredible team that you've been able to recruit in. Talk about, one, how it is that you're able to sell a vision for something, for a product that was still in development at the time, and B, talk about that team and what they're able to accomplish.
We've got about 17 total people, and that includes advisors on board that are helping I Give First, 7 of which are full-time. But included in that full-time mix of people that have been working completely for free, just due to the fact that they want to see this go, are people like the former CMO of Media News Group. Formerly, she was Vice President of Strategy for Microsoft and Vice President for Marketing for Yahoo. And then we brought other people in, like the CIO of Mile High United Way, Senior Vice Presidents from Experian, Vice Presidents from Axiom. We really have senior level executives, and the reason it's important that we build that team is I'm passionate and I believe that that team is necessary in order to build the world's first global giving brand.
Sharif, thanks so much for your time today. Best of luck with I Give First.
Thank you.
How can people get in touch?
Sharif at igivefirst.com. It's SHARIF at igivefirst.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.